Hello world, my name is Atticus and welcome back to June, the month where games happen. There are a lot of announcements that happen this month and it can be tough to keep up with them all. So in what is now a time-honored tradition for this channel, let me do that work for you and tell you all the reveals that are exciting to me specifically. Beginning with the game announcements Summer Edition, we're starting off strong with Civilization 7. I skipped 6 and have instead continued to play Civ 5. However, it started to consistently crash on me and I blamed the game, so this is great timing. The release window is 2025 and the teaser trailer, as exciting as it is, doesn't seem to reveal too much about the game itself, though we can probably pretty accurately guess how it's going to play, what with, the first 6. Next up we have Neva from the creators of Grunn. It's a pretty game, looks like it's going to be an emotional journey and features some very good deer, like this, and that one. Release window is 2024, which is this year, but with nothing more specific, I have to assume they're doing everything they can to make a New Year's Eve launch. Black Myth Wukong is a game that I've been on the fence about, but I think I've fallen firmly on the side of wanting to check it out. It is a Souls-like, which is definitely in its favor. Journey to the West is a story I'm more familiar with through references to it in more modern media and overly sarcastic production series going through it. So that's why I think it took so long for me to make a decision on it. But their marketing team's done a good work, and I'll likely be picking it up when it releases August 20th of this year. Judging from the Persona series release cycle, we are well due for Persona 6, and it's called Metaphor Refantazio. It takes place in a fantasy kingdom instead of a high school, and it's out October 11th. Enotria, The Last Song, has a demo out on Steam if you're on the fence about it. Another Souls-like, this one pulls from Italian folklore and is out September 18th. Up next is One Button Bosses, which is a game where you only press one button to beat bosses. You likely will have to press it more than one time though. It's a lot more fun than you might expect from that brief description, as evidenced by playing through the available demo, and additionally I love a game that pares away all the extraneous fluff to focus on one core aspect of gameplay. In this case, when do you press the button? And that'll do it for the game announcement Summerfest portion of this video. I feel a shocking amount of existential exhaustion just from writing this. I don't know how Jeff does it. So let's speedrun the Xbox showcase. For the pedigree of their series, I've been interested in Fable, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Dragon Age: The Veilguard. And for a studio pedigree, I've been looking forward to Avowed. The most exciting thing for me from that showcase, however, was South of Midnight, at least in part because it wasn't something I was already aware of, but primarily for its presentation. The game has a definite and immediately apparent sense of identity, and I can't quite articulate it, but the not quite smooth animation is compelling. It's at like a consistent 24 frames per second, and I like it a lot. Gameplay looks great too. Unfortunately, it's not out till next year. And last but absolutely not least for the major showcases is Nintendo, packing in Romancing Saga 2, Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, a new Mario Party, Dragon Quest 1 through 3 remakes, releasing backwards, Fantasion, a new turn-based RPG helmed by Hironobu Sakaguchi, with music by Nobuo Uematsu. It looks neat, and I like how you can collect random encounters to deal with later. There was also the 100-line Last Defense Academy, which looks ridiculous. Look at those little guys walk! But in the best way. Metroid Prime 4 finally got another trailer that's not just the number 4. I have played exactly one Metroid game, but that's exciting, and I'm sure I'd like it if I gave the series a chance. Mio Memories in Orbit might hopefully tide me over while we wait for Silksong. It's got the White Palace at least. And of course, the most exciting reveal was The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, where Zelda gets to be the main character for the first time since Wand of Gamelon in Zelda's Adventure. The gameplay looks incredible and really fitting for the bearer of the Triforce of Wisdom. It's also out in September. It's right around the corner. In the year of Final Fantasy VII Remake Rebirth, I can't imagine any other title taking first place in my Games of the Year video, but I'm looking forward to gushing about it somewhere in the top 10. But that's not all that June had to offer. We also had a Steam Next Fest where developers published demos and all sorts of games get a moment in the spotlight. So here are the demos that compelled me to wishlist their games. I'll list them all first and then talk about a few of them. And also Curse of Yggdrasil. We'll get to that. Airborne Empire, The Altars, CASSETTEBOY, Sepleon, Death Machine, Grunn, Mirthwood, Once Upon a Rogue's Tale, Slug Gear, Tactical Breach Wizards, Veritus, and an honorable mention to Undergod. In the interest of time, I won't go over all of them, but they are all worth a look. Let's start with CASSETTEBOY. It has a lovely retro aesthetic that you might have gathered from the name. The real twist is the core mechanic. The fact that things cease to exist when you can't see them. It's a really interesting mechanic for an adventure puzzler, and I'm looking forward to how they use it. There is a slight bug in the demo, at least when I played, where if you fall in the water, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to escape. Maybe there's a button to reset the room, but I never found it. In light of that, I didn't play much of the demo, but it didn't take much to get me on board. Grunn is a game that knows exactly where the Uncanny Valley is, and has nestled itself right at the bottom. Not the face Uncanny Valley, a more general. No, play the demo and you'll know exactly what I mean. Grunn is a lovely game about gardening, and don't worry about how that gnome got there. It's fine, I'm sure. I don't know too much about the game, so I don't think there's much I can spoil, but it seems like one of those games where a first-hand experience serves it best, so I still want to tread carefully. I don't exactly have a strong stomach for horror. I like a lot of it in theory, just not in practice, but it did a great job of unsettling me, and I'd like to try and explore its mysteries if I can handle them. I had no idea what I was doing or what I was supposed to be doing during a single second of my time with the Death Machine demo. But that's fine, because the vibes were immaculate. Make a deal with a long-forgotten devil and tear down capitalism. Say less. The game plays like a roguelike Metroidvania. The map is interconnected. No idea if you get movement tech later that opens up new areas. And your combat kit is determined on the fly based on what upgrades you find, which you can then sell to a demon to buy different upgrades or more permanent ones. It's a neat melding of the genres, and one I'm surprised I haven't seen before. Speaking of Metroidvanias, I don't want to not talk about Slug Gear, though I'm not sure I have much to say. It's one of those games where I was sold pretty early into the demo, and having so many downloaded for the next fest was a exit the game as soon as I know how I feel about it situation, for most of them. I really liked my time with it. You're just a little slug with a big old mallet. What's not to love? Another quick mention for Veritus, which seems like a classic Zelda-like adventure puzzler. I got approximately to where you get the Dead Hand item, which is a floor master that you can control to solve puzzles. I can't wait to see what other nifty gadgets we find. And of course, the honorable mention for Undergod. I'm not very good at it, which is why it's not grouped in with the wishlisted titles. A pure skill issue. It reminds me of Vampire Survivors, though a bit more active in that you do have to press a button to swing your sword. But the biggest difference is that in Undergod, you are flying. You move left to right with A and D keys and control whether you're flying or not with the space bar, which was just a few too many things for me to keep track of when I played it. It seems like a neat game though, and the screenshots did compel me to download it in the first place. Finally, I want to talk Tactical Breach Wizards. This game comes out August 22nd, and that's too far away. I had an absolute blast with the demo, to the point where I couldn't put it down until I gotten through all the story content. It's a tactical RPG where you play as wizards. Each level in the demo began with you breaching a door and dealing with the enemies within, which is where the name comes from. Other than that, the game is really about getting enemies to stand next to windows so you can defenestrate them, or toss them out a window as the game helpfully defines. I'm a sucker for an SRPG anyway, and Tactical Breach Wizards has gone above and beyond so far with the quick level design and fun writing. Easy contender for top 10 at the end of the year. Curse of Yggdrasil is the secret last thing. I said I'd talk about it, and I didn't forget. This is how the game opens.
Kire?
I don't know if this is a placeholder, coincidence, or if they just didn't think people would notice or care, but like, that's 100% Kire Kotomine from Fate, right? He's even got the knife things between his fingers. On a whole, Curse of Yggdrasil's concept seems very interesting. You, Kire Kotomine, have been trapped in this strange space and are looking for a way out, but the nature of an endless labyrinth where it's easy to get lost and hard to tell where you are creates a lot of rooms that look real samey. And maybe it's what they're going for, but I wasn't a fan. The combat also felt a bit off. It's been a few days since I played it till now, so I don't know exactly what felt bad about it, but it felt like it could still use some work. And it is an early access demo, so that's likely what they're doing. I can't tell if the demo was just too early to really sell me, personally, on what the game will be like, or if it's just not a game for me. I'll be keeping an eye on it, but primarily because I want to know if you play as Kire in the full release as well. And that was June, for me specifically. If you are not me specifically, the specifically is important, I hope it still served to let you know what's coming up and what you may have missed without ignoring too much of what exciting announcements happened in June for you specifically. I have been Atticus, and thank you for participating.